Good morning. Thank you for being with us for an Ignite Breakout Session 365. I like it, Microsoft 365, Breakout 365. So we're really excited to have you here with us today. My name is Hany Soliman. I lead our America's energy business for Microsoft. I'm based here in the Bay Area, so welcome to my hometown. And we are very excited to have you with us today. I think there is no doubt that the energy transition is generating an opportunity for us, and AI is no longer now on the sidelines. I think from everything you've been hearing over the last few days, a frontier firm that's embracing AI is actually transforming our energy and the energy transformation and the energy transition. For today's session, I'm going to be sharing how Microsoft is involved in this journey. But more importantly, we are going to hear from one of our elite frontier firm customers, Southern California Edison. We are going to be honored, and I'm privileged to be sharing the stage with Todd Inlander, the Chief Information Officer for Southern California Edison, who is going to be sharing their own journey. Todd has been with Southern California Edison for over 14 years, building a vision that he has been executing along with his team on for multiple years. And you're going to see some of the examples and the fruition of this effort over the years. And then after Todd tells a little bit about his story, we're going to have a short fireside chat where we are going to talk about maybe a little bit of the plumbing that goes behind some of those successful stories and use cases, because we know that there is a journey behind every story. And then afterwards, we are going to hopefully open it up for some Q&A if any of you, and we would request that anybody that has a Q&A would be using the mics, and we are going to have mics around because it's going to give us an opportunity to have people who are joining us remotely to be able to follow your questions as well. So with that said, I wanted to just start by sharing that as we discussed, AI is no longer on the sidelines, and we are at a pivotal moment right now from an energy industry standpoint. And why is Microsoft here on stage talking about energy? We typically are perceived as focusing primarily on the technologies. But with Microsoft at the core of our mission is to empower every human being and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We believe that we are at a pivotal moment right now with the energy transition on one side and the massive and explosive demand of the AI revolution on the other. Microsoft is actually sitting at that intersection. When we talk about the energy transition and the monumental challenge that everybody that is working in the energy industry is facing, when we talk about security, when we talk about equity and affordability, and when we talk about sustainability and clean energy, this is not an easy challenge to face. But in the same time, I think for the first time, we have a significant set of technologies that allow us to meet this demand. Just talking about energy from an affordability standpoint, which is a common challenge, there are over 1 billion people on this earth today that do not have access to clean, reliable power. And if you think about a quote that I heard many years ago, it said that energy is not going to eliminate poverty, but poverty cannot be eliminated without energy. And this gives all of us a responsibility and an opportunity to be able to execute on it. That's why Microsoft wants to be helping you as we go through this transition. How is Microsoft participating in this exercise? We now, as you are hearing, after almost a flat growth on the gross demand on the grid for many years, we are now seeing a significant uptick in demand because of the AI and because of, obviously, industrialization, because of the economic improvement of many people around the world. But the reality is Microsoft is a major commercial workload on the grid today. And in addition to that, Microsoft has made a massive commitment regarding our sustainability agenda and pledges, where we are committed to become carbon negative by 2030. We are committed to be water positive by 2030 and eliminate to go to 0% waste by 2030. As a result of that, We are partnering very closely with energy companies to make sure that we are procuring the cleanest power possible to power this AI revolution, our data centers, where we build the technologies that serve all of you. And then we do also recognize that there are many technologies that are not ready today. And this is why we are also investing in incubating new technologies, all the way from direct air capture, direct carbon capture, to technologies like hydrogen, to many other technologies that are being incubated today in order to be part of our energy transition for the future. That's how Microsoft is participating. And when we think about how are we really bringing this to reality, we are approaching it in really 4 fundamental areas. The first one is that when we are working on our own journey to meet our sustainability agenda, we are working on tools to help us with scopes 1 and 2 and 3 to ensure that we are meeting our pledges and we are evaluating ourselves on how we are doing against those type of commitments in our global scale. And when we take a look at this, we needed to build tools and technologies, methane emissions monitoring tools, and many others to allow us to be able to provide the carbon accounting and the monitoring and the optimization that we need internally. And we make those technologies not only available for our customers, but we partner with our customers to develop them as well. The other area is technology. We are known for our technology, but there are significant investments to help us in helping energy companies to become more agile, to be able to respond to the geopolitical nature of the challenges that they face, all the way from climate change and the implications on the grid to emissions management across the board, and obviously the supply chain implications. We believe that with technology we can help drive significant improvements in asset optimization and asset management. We are seeing improvements of 1 in 2 shutdowns are prevented by using predictive maintenance, and we are able to monitor and plan moving from being reactive to being proactive in maintaining our assets by over almost 90% prevention of failures by simply monitoring them, and we have the data and we have the technology to do so. Those are just some examples. But in the same time, we do recognize that anything we do needs to be anchored on our customers' demands and needs, and this is where we see alliances, and you're going to hear from one of our core partners in this journey from Southern California Edison, where we work with them to understand what are the challenges and how our technologies can be better embedded in their processes to improve their operations. And then finally, we do believe that it is critical for us to have a partner ecosystem. No one company can do it on our own. So we partner with Schneider, we partner with SLB, Baker Hughes, GE, Siemens, many companies around the globe that are serving you every day. And the goal for Microsoft is to make sure that we are taking care of the data plumbing for you so that you are driving the value proposition and the agentic AI and be able to capture the power of the AI technology. That's where Microsoft is focused, and that's what we do. Going back to the technology piece for a second, one of the areas that we believe we can really help, and this is where we are making massive investments, is around security. If you think Microsoft collects over 72 trillion signals a day, and this gives us visibility across the globe, and this allows us to take all of those signals and all of this intelligence in capabilities like Copilot security to help you to be able to fend any cyber espionage, any attacks that the energy sector is facing. That's a power of data insights, and data collection that we are able to deliver for you. And when you layer the AI capabilities of generative AI and agentic AI, you can see the transformational power. Another one is that we are able to now, for the first time, if you notice the Copilot logo is really a handshake between machine and human. And the idea is to be able to empower every single individual using a multimodal, multi-language, multi-capabilities to be able to interact with the data and the machine. And for the first time, we are bringing the gap between technology and adoption to be significantly shrunk. And this is why you are able to empower your employees with the ingenuity and the capabilities to drive the transformation you're looking for. There are 2 basic technologies that we believe is going to be fundamentally changing the landscape moving forward. And what we are seeing from companies is that there are 2 ways companies approach this. Some are trying to retrofit their current processes, and some are reimagining their current processes. And when we talk about the frontier firm, it's a ladder. Those are the ones that are embracing AI and technologies in ways to really transform how they have done things before, rather than take the existing process and just try to do it better with some AI infusion. The other element is that coding is becoming now dedicated to certain areas in code development and capabilities, and even with capabilities like GitHub Copilot and Anthropic now available, we are improving the coding experience. But what we are seeing is that there is a lot of work that can be done and impact and transformational impact on the business with simply drag and drop, low code, no code, and we will share some of those examples. As we go through the journey, we believe that the way frontier firms are embracing the transformation, leveraging AI and agentic AI, many of us here traditionally are now getting used to it. 3 years ago, we couldn't talk in a similar capacity about the adoption of AI, but today almost everybody has some sort of an AI tool. And I think this is the first step. People are starting to become familiar, comfortable, and see how that could actually impact them from a productivity standpoint. But where we see frontier firms start now embracing is the idea of having digital workers, that each individual have a team of people supporting them in a digital capacity, doing things on their behalf that was not possible before. And the ones that are most advanced in this journey is now allowing agents to talk to agents. And this is really where you start seeing massive amount of transformation. If you look at the fundamental difference between a frontier firm and a non-frontier firm, are the firms that are reimagining how their departments, how their applications, and the data estate resides. Most of the challenges that is stifling innovation today and the ability to be able to progress is fundamentally the fact that we grew up in a culture where we have a SaaS application or an application that has a user interface, it captures data, has a user interface and it captures data, and then you report on the data. And that creates significant fragmentation. But now when you see firms empowering the employee that is serving a customer, taking the customer input to shape the product development, taking all of this to improve their supply chain or processes, breaking the barriers across applications and data estates, and unleashing the power of all of the data and insights from their organizations are the ones that are driving the most impactful transformation. And we are seeing this very broadly, actually, across the entire value chain in oil and gas and power and utilities and mining, with significant savings. The first one you can see here, almost 80% in audit capabilities with Juniper. And this is a very interesting value proposition when you look at the work that's being done in reconciling invoices. Very simple back-end mundane tasks that are being significantly improved by using this sort of capabilities. Another one is how do you minimize emissions by reducing the number of wells being drilled and the optimization and the time it takes to do some of those operations. And we are seeing Chevron doing incredible work, leveraging decades of data to be able to improve their operations and operate more cleanly. We see also Eneco doing a significant amount of improvements in their customer support and automating much of it, delighting their customers in ways that would not have been possible before. And then finally, in my hometown here, Pacific Gas and Electric, one of the first adopters of the low-code, no-code, the Power Platform. They've been deploying one application after another, unleashing ingenuity in their organization through citizen development and driving significant savings. Just 2-3 years ago, when this number was closer to 30 million, today, just as of last year, was almost $75 million in savings. So it is material. Just it's estimated that grid modernization alone, we are expecting about $15 billion in savings. So the return on ROI is massive. But Microsoft is not stopping there, and we are also building capabilities and accelerators to help accelerate the journey. One of them is our permitting accelerator, where we are able to help companies accelerate permitting and help make sure that projects, whether it's interconnection on the grid, whether it is actually pipeline projects or any sort of projects that require a significant, massive amount of data and documentation, can be accelerating, whether it is, like I said, permitting or a rate case or an interconnection of a renewable power on the grid. I'm going to play this video quickly.
𝗦𝗲 is an environmental planner who creates permit applications for major infrastructure projects. Gabriel, an environmental engineer at a regulatory agency, is responsible for reviewing 𝗦𝗲's applications. Though essential, their work is caught in an infrastructure bottleneck, slowing progress toward a secure, resilient energy future. Today, permits can span thousands of pages, take a decade to complete, and cost hundreds of millions, making vital infrastructure projects difficult to develop and launch. The Microsoft GenAI for Energy Permitting Solution Accelerator addresses this bottleneck by using generative AI and intelligent agents to empower 𝗦𝗲 and Gabriel with greater confidence, speed, and precision. For 𝗦𝗲, the accelerator unifies all relevant project information, from environmental and technical data to financial documentation and community agreements. Data is sourced, compiled, precisely formatted, and AI-driven reviews ensure comprehensive, consistent, and accurate end-to-end applications, aligned with historical permits and the latest regulatory standards. For Gabriel, the accelerator quickly evaluates applications, instantly flagging missing, contradictory, or inaccurate details. The result? Thousands of hours saved, complex documents drafted in minutes, and pre-submission checks / review times, giving 𝗦𝗲 and Gabriel the confidence in accuracy, consistency, and compliance, while cost-effectively accelerating critical project launches. From nuclear and renewables to mining, energy, transmission, and distribution, the accelerator helps permitting and document-intensive industries meet market demands and speed project deployments. The Microsoft GenAI for Energy Permitting Solution Accelerator runs on Azure, is available for customers and partners through free commercial licensing, and can be tailored for almost any permitting scenario. Discover how you and your organization can tackle some of the toughest energy infrastructure and permitting challenges. Visit aka.ms/energy-industry.
With that said, it's my privilege and my honor to be introducing, and please join me in giving a warm welcome to the Chief Information Officer for Southern California Edison, Todd Inlander.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right. How's everybody doing? Everybody still awake? Okay. All right. I like an energetic group, as you can tell. So I am going to talk a little bit about AI at Southern California Edison. We are a pretty large utility in Southern California. I want to make sure I don't trip over these chairs. We've been around for quite a long time, over 135 years. We cover 50,000 square miles. We have been, unfortunately, and our customers have been impacted by the devastating effects of wildfires earlier this year. And we actually did put a great amount of technology in place to help with the remediation and, in some cases, prevention of the spread of wildfires. And so that's an additional strain that we put on our people, we for sure on our customers, and we put on our technology as well. And so that is driving an acceleration of some of the things we had already planned to do, and we're moving forward with some of those. The other thing is a couple years ago, we put out a white paper, Pathway 2045, and in that Pathway 2045, we expect that there's going to be a significant increase in electric vehicles, about a 90-ish% penetration of EVs in California, Southern California specifically, and then over 90% penetration of buildings as well. So all of those things are driving a significant increase in demand. We don't yet see the AI and data center explosion in Southern California yet, although I think we can expect that in the next couple of years. But with that, we see, versus what we thought, there's about an 80% increase in electricity for demand over those 20 years, and 7 to 10 times more growth than we thought in circuits and substations. And we can't get there by doing the same things we've already done. There's only so many resources we could throw at things. This is now the time for technology to play a much larger role than it has in the past. And I would just a little bit of advertisement for all of you that are in the energy field, in the technology and energy field. While maybe this is perceived as a very boring place to work because things were very slow, Granted, things can also continue to be very slow in utilities and in energy, but this is an amazing intersection where technology can and will play a much larger role. And so I think it's only going to get more exciting. So hopefully all of you feel that same level of excitement and commitment as I do. But so how are we going to get there? The ultimate goal is we're going to need to transform the way we procure, engineer, plan the grid, and operate the grid of the future. We cannot do it based on the way we've already done it. Hany was talking about we can't just incrementally improve processes. We're actually going to have to blow them up. And I think anybody that thinks that AI or even some of the digital tools that are out there are incremental improvement tools, they're absolutely missing the boat. That's why I think we need to take a hard look at the way we operate and how we apply some of the tools on the grid to really transform and provide more safe, reliable, affordable power. So with that, how are we going to do it? We started, for us, upgrading our foundational solutions that we've had in place. Like everybody has ADMS. I think we were maybe a little bit slower to the game. We're deploying right now private LTE, engineering and planning tools. We're laying the foundation, but at the same time, we can't sit still and sort of hope that that is going to be the solution all by itself. Because the reality is you put the foundation in place, and then what you need to do is really start to exploit the tools that are currently available in the AI space. When AI is not new to us, about, 7, 8 years ago, when the increase in wildfires really first started, what we did was we started partnering with various technology companies, some Microsoft competitors, sorry. We partnered with various technology providers to, one, use AI and computer vision to identify flawed equipment. And so we did some of that first as sort of humans going out to the field, inspecting assets, and we're like, okay, this is inefficient. Now we started deploying, whether it's drones or digital images or LiDAR, doing all those things, which we're pretty invested in now over the last 8, 10 years, in making sure we look and inspect the equipment virtually. But we don't just rely on that all by itself, although I think that really is a wave of the future for us. So we're starting to leverage those things more. I look at those things as a little bit foundational for AI. And I think we sort of have, like many of you, we get enamored with AI, right? I mean, a couple years ago when LLMs really started first making an appearance in a really broad way, we all got very excited. We're like, oh my gosh. And all of our CEOs, which I'll talk about later, got even more excited because of the operational opportunities it brought. But, these, at first we're like, okay, there's a hype cycle associated with AI. I personally believe that, yes, there is and was and is a hype cycle, but I think the reality is, the truth is that the capabilities will even exceed the hype over the next couple of years. And not that it'll have, it's going to have shortcomings, and we're all going to be afraid and taking our jobs, and I don't think we should subscribe to that. So what we did was, I think we had a little bit more of a, probably like most of you, a little bit of a crawl, walk, run approach where we gave people Copilot and we showed them how to use it. And Copilot in the very beginning was like, it was okay, right? Didn't do a lot of things, but every couple of months I'll try something new and it's given me more capabilities. We have 4,000 people in our organization that use Copilot, some not so much, some to a really great extent, and they're really trying to exploit what they're doing from a day-to-day perspective. So we've deployed that. I talked about computer vision, but the other part that we are heavily investing in addition to our foundational tools, is we're building out digital twins, which I think is also a core foundational capability. So the digital twin activity is happening. But the nirvana, the ultimate goal for us is you've got digital twins in place, you've got more AI in place, but we can have more agentic capabilities for a self-healing autonomous grid. a way to do that is to really dig deep and blow up anything we're doing on the system planning side, whether it's forecasting, or you can see the list right here. We're doing it. We're doing predictive analytics. We're understanding asset failure. We're using AI and machine learning to do some of that. We're going to do more and more of that. But we're also, for operations, we've been using LiDAR, as I said. And I think we also realized, like, wow, we're taking pictures of our whole ecosystem. Why don't we start to use that and leverage it in one place? And we're starting to do that right now. So we're building up more grid control capabilities with Copilot. So we really want, ultimately, things to be a lot more autonomous than they currently are. And so we're pushing, and it's making an impact. It is making an impact. People are getting educated. They're getting smarter. They're realizing the value of the tools. It's not limited to a Microsoft tool set. We're looking across our entire ecosystem for that, because we're going to need something really transformative to change the way we operate the grid. Otherwise, we're just going to keep adding resources, and things are going to move so quickly. And as I said before, we're a 135-year-old company, over 135 years. Sometimes some of those practices remain in place, and I'm sure maybe I'm preaching to the crowd in some of that. We're a very conservative industry, and we need people to get on board and be excited about the art of the possible. So for us, we're doing these foundational things, we're making investments, we're building out digital twins, all good. But the reality is, we need to prevent humans from being dispatched to the field. How can we do that? Because first of all, it's very costly. We pay contractors to go out to the field and do things like pre-trim inspection. For those of you that are in California, the fuel for the fire is vegetation. So to prevent fires, two really big things we need to do: trim all the vegetation and protect our equipment. And so those things are happening, but we need to do those things at an accelerated pace and with less dependency on humans, as well as have better data. So right now, one of the larger AI projects we have going on is frankly pretty exciting for how things should operate in the future. With LiDAR and satellite imagery, instead of dispatching people to do what we call pre-trim inspections and go out, check the trees, do some measurements, write some stuff down, come back, and then dispatch other people to actually do the trim itself, we have a project right now where we're going to use AI, and we're going to build a digital twin of our vegetation, and we're going to look at tree encroachment, and we're going to modify those, and we're going to do the pre-trim inspection off of the AI. And then we will do a similar thing for inspections in the future, where we leverage the AI to gather the data, use LiDAR, do the work that humans would be doing, but do it with quicker and maybe higher fidelity, leveraging satellite as well as LiDAR data. That is quicker, it's more effective, it protects people, but it's probably also more accurate. So we're going to do that. That's our really big jumping off point for something very significant from an AI perspective. I think the next large opportunity for us in utilities is, how do we integrate, and this makes people really nervous, how do we integrate AI, LLM, specifically in grid control, so that you may have a human in the loop for a while, but ultimately that human is out of the loop and you're leveraging AI. And I know that we're not quite ready for that, but I think that is the future direction for all of us, where things are moving so quickly. Customers get irritated when their power goes out, and so frankly, they get pissed off and sometimes threaten us. Not a lot. But people are not happy when their power goes out. They expect it. Like, you expect your phone to work all the time. You expect your electricity, your power to be delivered consistently and affordably. Without these tools, we can't grow. We can't scale. We can't meet the demands, the future demands of the grid, without new capabilities, without the technology. And so that's where we're going. We also need to clean up our processes in the back office, replace many of those, and transform the way we operate. That's why I'm excited, because we are in the catbird seat. Anybody that's a technologist in the room should realize not just the value of AI, because it's not just AI for AI's sake. It is another tool in the toolbox, but it happens to be the most transformational tool that we have at our disposal. So with that, thank you all for coming. I think Hany's going to come back out. We're going to have a little chat. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Apparently we didn't rehearse. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Todd.
Sure.
I think we'll just have a few minutes of a fireside chat, and anybody who has a
We don't say
question.
fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yes. Okay.
Love that. Love what you said. I think you mentioned a few ultimate outcomes you're working towards, such as vegetation management, but it's really about the prevention of fire that is leading to vegetation management. It's leading to upgrading controls and systems and assets. You also are talking about taking the human out of the equation and obviously out of harm's way. These are outcomes, but you also mentioned that Southern California Edison's been there for 135 years. You've been there for close to
almost
50.
that.
Yeah. So you.
I'm not 135 years old. Yeah. Okay.
And you've been there for 14 years or so. So your journey, you inherited a lot of existing systems, processes. Some of them are antiquated. Some grid controls that maybe are pretty much out of date. So how did your journey come about? How did you rally the resources and the senior leadership to go along this journey that's driving this great success today?
Well, I mean, frankly, we can't take all the credit. We do have, I think, a very progressive leadership team that realizes the value of the technology. I think all of our CEOs sometimes get a little too excited about the prospect of, early days as LLM, 20 to 30% of costs are going to be taken out of back office, and then the reality and the hype didn't exactly jive. So I think there is that initial enthusiasm. We have a very strong board as well that realizes the value of the technology. But what we did, I think early on, some people sat back and watched, and we didn't do that. I mean, I don't know what the right answer really is, but for us, sitting in the sidelines and watching was not an option. So we invested. We got Copilot out there. We started preaching a little bit of the gospel of AI and not overselling, but helping people and putting things in people's goals so they knew it. And we have a very active vendor ecosystem. They're also selling. So not you guys. Microsoft never oversells. So we have that as well. I think that ecosystem, that drive, and I think the other thing is the dynamics of the industry right now call for a different solution than the solutions that we've been putting in place. So I think it's leadership. I think it's what we're doing in the IT organization, the investments we're making, the people's passion and enthusiasm around it, the company's enthusiasm, but not everybody gets it. And I think that's where it's up to us, is our obligation to help people understand the value. I think I feel like it's now an old quote. AI is not going to take your job. It's the people that understand how to exploit it. Those individuals are going to take your job.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Maybe another question is, how are you empowering your people today? I mean, how are you attracting talent, retaining talent, and getting folks with embracing these type of new technologies and new ways of looking at doing their jobs, if you will?
Well, we have a lot of great people in IT, and some of them are here. Thank you guys for attending. I made them come watch me, by the way. One of the things that we're doing is, one, we're making sure people have the opportunity to participate in some of these programs and projects. But the other thing we're doing in the company, starting with IT, is shoring up our digital acumen. We're just launching something, I think this week, about we want to give people a little bit of a curriculum for a little bit of a playbook for what they need to do and where they can invest themselves in learning some of the new technologies, because we'll provide the opportunities, but ultimately it's up to the individual to take advantage of those opportunities. So we're providing the training opportunities right now. We're rolling that out, and we want to take that model and deploy it across the entire company.
Got you. I love this, and this is actually what we are seeing. The frontier firms that are embracing, they start alongside exactly what you said, Todd. They start with the leadership, the senior leadership. The next step is actually the cultural change, and it's really about scaling and making sure that people see the power of this technology to make the change. But then the other element, which I think you alluded to it, Todd, which we see quite often now, the next layer down is not the capabilities. I think it is less about the tools and the capabilities and more about the differentiation that companies are aspiring to achieve. And then the capabilities comes last, which is what you alluded to. So I guess maybe a question, since here it's a Microsoft conference, what are you looking for from partners like Microsoft? I'm not going to say vendors, I'm not going to say suppliers, but partners like Microsoft in this journey to better serve you and serve the energy needs across your entire ecosystem.
Free software.
Okay. You're done.
Yeah. I'm taking this on the road. No, I think continued innovation, education for art of the possible, real use cases. I'm going to ask you a question in a second. What others are doing outside of our industry. I think the utilities industry is amazing, and we've grown quite a bit from our, we'll say, our embracing of technology, but we're not the first movers. We have not been the first movers. We're very conservative, we're cautious. We are it's concerned about nation state attacks and things like that, and we're heavily regulated, and we happen to be in a state that's also heavily regulated in California, and so that drives a level of conservatism. But getting us together from a Microsoft perspective, talking to us about art of the possible. I was in a session, a couple months ago, where it was fantastic. You all were bringing ideas to us, and it was stimulating some thoughts. Because at the end of the day, the technology is it's an instrument. It really is an instrument. It's the people that get excited about the change and where you can enact the change, and then the technology's ability to support it. That's the piece where I think that people don't quite grasp the art of the possible. And there's people like we'll say in the weeds from a technology perspective, that they get it, but they don't know how to connect the dots. And then there's people that are high level, and maybe even me, that don't quite understand the technology enough to figure out what we can do to fully exploit it to really transform the company. I think it's you guys helping that connective tissue as well as the art of the possible looks like. So what are others doing or how do you see us compared to others? Yeah. And don't just make me feel like we're awesome.
No, I think thank you for asking the question, and I appreciate your response as well in terms of how Microsoft can step in. Going to where we are in the intersection, I'm going to just share two quick examples of work we are doing in the broader ecosystem. One of them is that we partnered with 𝗦𝗲𝗄𝗲. And 𝗦𝗲𝗄𝗲, for those of you who are familiar, collects a significant amount of data with multiple subscriptions across utilities across the globe, where they are collecting very rich data sets. And when we partnered with them, one of the initial use cases is to look at something called dissolved gas analysis for transformers. By doing this sort of analysis, we are able to anticipate transformer failure in substations and so on. This is a massive amount of intelligence and data set that was sitting there and that was not used. This is an area where Microsoft got involved with 𝗦𝗲𝗄𝗲 alongside the utilities to help drive transformation in a simple but yet very impactful use case, such as the transformer asset management. Another example is that we partnered with, in the oil and gas field and the mining industry, with a consortium called the Open Subsurface Data Universe, OSDU, where they created a data model for all of the subsurface data for any company that has been acquiring subsurface seismic data and so on over the years. Most of this data was sitting in disparate systems, multiple applications, multiple analysis tools. And if you think about it, to be able to optimize drilling and reservoir production or whatever you are working on from an oil and gas standpoint, you need to make sure that you are bringing geologists, geoscientists, and the entire community, planners, facilitators. All of them were working in disparate systems. And I think what we did is we created this platform called Azure Data Manager for Energy, where we worked with this common data model to bring it together to be able to serve the community. So now we are seeing companies are saying, okay, now maybe I need to, exactly to your point, Todd, revisit processes rather than retrofit processes. So they bring people from finance, people from legal, people from the science community, the geoscientist community, people that are actually working in operations, putting them in a room and reimagining the process now by able to serve them with the right insights and data. And that is what we are seeing leading companies are doing, and you're already doing much of that. So
got it.
Thank you.
Do we want to do questions?
Oh, yeah. So I think we have just a few minutes remaining for questions. So maybe we can open it up, and we are going to have somebody with a mic. So please, if you do have a question, just leverage the mic.
Or not. There we go.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Come on up. Whoever had their hand. Be bold. There you go. Okay. Yep.
Hi. Thanks for a great presentation, Henny and Todd.
Thank you.
I'm 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 from Capgemini. I'm very interested in how you think about the transformation using AI, where the IT people are working together with the operational technology people, and how that's going in your company, Todd. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. So at Edison, there's this massive convergence of IT, OT. And we have been, I'd say, reluctant to push these technologies on the OT side. One thing that we're doing in partnership with various functions is we're actually using AI, and I guess you can kind of call it IoT, but we have, 7,000 miles of fiber. We have our own proprietary network that has routers and switches. We're actually using AI. Instead of like all the notifications that come in, we're using LLM to consolidate the notifications so we know how to act. The next step is self-healing. So that's going to be the next step. But we're partnering, so that's OT-ish. The other part is where we're partnering with our engineering and planning function to speed up the analysis of where system demand is and forecasting. So we're using an element of AI and ultimately some GPU capabilities for the future, but we're like two in the box. We sit together, we talk about it. Sometimes, frankly, we need to drive more versus be driven, and we partner with other companies, obviously partner with Microsoft, but with NVIDIA, and there's a lot of great ideas that come to the table that's between IT and the OT side. Putting in the foundational control systems as well is another collaboration on the OT side. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you. There was another question here. Go ahead.
Hello, Phil Carroll from Marathon Petroleum. Actually, a very similar question. Was interested about the concept of citizen development, folks outside of the normal IT team. It sounds like you're doing a little bit of a two-in-the-box kind of thing. So maybe expand upon that, like the kind of controls that and process you have to be able to take that from, the citizen to enterprise application, and maybe if you've run into any challenges along that you could share.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about this morning, last night. So I look at Copilot in the best of days is a citizen development opportunity for people to exploit it. We give them training. We create a safe place. We actually have our own Edison GPT as well. So we have that. But what we're doing is, for the smaller things, we're guiding people how to use Copilot. We're giving them education. We're giving them appropriate access. For the larger programs, we're projectizing it, if you will, where we're giving broader access. We're embedded databases or vectorized databases and things like that. Those are broader projects where we're bringing people along. We also have, it's not AI, but like Power Platform for citizen development. We've created a structured environment for that because we realize we can't do in IT. We don't have the cycles to do everything. And there's a lot of more technical people in the world now than there used to be. And so we want to give them the safe tools that are cyber safe that won't get us in trouble. So we do a lot of that. I'm excited about that because I think that's the way we're going to deploy better solutions.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
Hi, my name is Asha. I'm from IBM Consulting. I have a question. So I'm also privileged to live in Los Angeles and be an SE customer. And one of the great, I would say, path-breaking announcement that SE did a few years ago was Pathway 2045. And it's quite exciting, as you showed us, that you're on track for it. Can you elaborate a little more of how you see Gen AI or AI in general would help that goal?
Yeah, you know, the foundational piece that we put in, thanks Asha, good to see you. The foundational pieces that we're putting in with ADMS, really enabling two-way flow of power, which right now is a little bit disjointed, but better forecasting, better prediction of where a load is, using LLMs to understand the aggregation of information. We're actually also using that for regulatory because we can't get anything done unless we get regulatory approval. So we're also doing that, but we need to, on top of the foundation, we have to figure out how do we better integrate AI. This is back to my point about human in the loop. At some point, there may not be a human in the loop as we try to regulate. The other part that we really need to accelerate is integration of distributed energy resources. So we can't procure all the power. 85% of our power is procured, but we also need to leverage DERs. And so enabling that capability and integrating and speeding up the development process, leveraging AI is another opportunity, because the problem is the pace, right? The demand for electricity is exceeding our ability to supply it. And so we have to figure out ways to shrink that time frame. AI is part of it. There's other digital tools that are also predictive capabilities, but shrinking that timeline, that's where our focus should be.
Well, thank you for your questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you all for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And Todd, thank you for your partnership.
Right on.
Pleasure. Thank you.